My wife sat across from me at a small, candlelit table and told me that our life together was over. As we sat there at dinner, her face suddenly turned as white as a fresh sheet of paper when she saw who had just walked to the front door of the restaurant. It was supposed to be a normal, quiet Friday night for both of us. After many weeks where we felt like we were miles apart and dealing with so much heavy tension at home, my wife Jessica suggested that we should go out to a nice restaurant to talk things over and see where we stood. Her voice was very calm when she asked me, almost like she had practiced her lines in a mirror many times before she ever spoke a word to me. To be honest, I did not really expect much to change between us. She had been very cold and distant for many months. She was always glued to her phone screen, or staying late at the office, or making up various excuses about big work projects that never seemed to end. Still, a small part of my heart truly hoped that she wanted to fix our relationship and make things right between us again. I put on my very best shirt, the blue one she used to love so much, and I made a reservation at her favorite Italian place in Portland, Oregon. I really tried my hardest to believe that we still had something special that was worth saving after all these years. But the very second she sat down across from me, I felt a chill in the air. Her eyes were like cold ice, and her fingers kept tapping nervously against the side of her wine glass. I knew right then and there that this was not a night for making up or fixing our problems. It was a night for ending things once and for all. The waiter had just finished pouring our drinks when she looked up at me with a look I will never forget. "Daniel," she said, her voice not shaking even one little bit, "I am leaving you." She did not hesitate, and she did not cry at all. It was just flat, cold, and very painful honesty. I stared at her for a long time, looking for any sign that she felt bad for what she was doing to our life. There was no sadness in her eyes at all. "I have met someone else," she told me, acting like she was just telling me she had changed her favorite kind of morning coffee. "He makes me feel alive again." A very strange feeling of calm came over me in that moment. I was not shocked, and I was not even angry yet. I just felt like I could finally see everything clearly for the very first time. I put my fork down, leaned back in my soft chair, and asked her quietly, "So, if it is really over, what was the point of this dinner?" She told me she wanted closure. She nodded her head, looking very relieved that I was not shouting or making a big scene. She said she did not want us to end things on a bad note, and that she wanted us to be civil with each other. That word, civil, really hurt my heart. After 10 long years of being married, after building a whole life and a home together, I was being tossed aside with the kind of politeness you would use in a boring business meeting. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw a woman who had already left me in her heart a long time ago. Her hair was done in a new way I hadn't seen. She was wearing a perfume I did not recognize, and her phone was lighting up every few minutes with new messages that she tried to hide from my view. "What is his name?" I asked, even though I already had a very good idea who it was. "It does not matter," she said quickly, looking around the room to avoid my eyes. "I just need to be honest with myself and what I want." I gave her a small, knowing smile. "Being honest is a very good place to start," I said. "You might need a lot of that honesty in about 2 minutes." She looked very confused and asked me what I meant by that. I did not say another word to her. I just looked over the front door where a tall man in a gray suit had just walked into the restaurant. This was the same man I had seen in a private photo on her phone 2 weeks earlier. He was her business partner, the man she spent all those late nights with at the office. His name was Ryan. He was a married father with 2 young children, and he was supposedly my wife's brand new start in life. He did not see us at first. He was busy helping a woman take off her heavy winter coat. That woman was someone I knew instantly. It was his wife, Claire. When Jessica finally turned her head around and saw them standing there, all the color drained out of her skin. Ryan stopped right in his tracks, standing there like a stone statue while holding his wife's purse. All 4 of us just stood or sat there staring at each other in total, heavy silence. I could almost hear Jessica's heart beating fast from all the way across the table. She looked like she was seeing a scary ghost. I leaned in close to her, keeping my voice very soft and calm, so only she could hear. "You did not think I would invite them here, did you?" Her eyes got very wide with fear. "You did what?" she whispered, her voice cracking. I took a slow, steady sip of my wine and smiled. I told her that when she started acting so strange and distant, I decided to look into things myself. It turned out that Ryan's wife had her own big worries about what was going on between them. So we decided it was time for all of us to have a little dinner meeting together to get the truth. Claire walked up and looked straight at Ryan. She looked like her heart was breaking into pieces, but she also looked very, very angry. So it is all true, she said in a quiet but firm voice. Ryan tried to stay calm, but his face was very tight. He told her not to do this in public, where people could see, but she did not care about that anymore. She told him that he had lied about the business trips and lied about ending the affair they were having. The whole restaurant went completely quiet. People at the other tables stopped eating their food just to watch the drama. Jessica's hand was shaking so hard she could barely hold her white napkin. She tried to act like she was just wiping her mouth, but everyone in the room could see how scared and embarrassed she was. I just sat there and watched it all happen. I did not need to yell or brag about being right. I just felt a quiet sense of peace as all the lies fell apart right in front of everyone. Finally, Jessica turned to me, looking very desperate. She whispered that this was not supposed to happen this way. I just tilted my head and asked her if she meant that getting caught was not supposed to happen. I told her that lies always have a way of coming out at the worst possible time. Ryan tried to touch Claire's arm to calm her down, but she pushed him away with tears running down her face. She looked at Jessica and told her she could have him. She said he had been cheating for years and wished her good luck with a man like that, as the mess continued to get worse. I stood up from the table. I dropped my napkin, left enough money on the table to pay for the food, and got ready to leave. Jessica reached out to me, her voice sounding very small and weak. She asked me to wait. I stopped for just a second to tell her that she was the one who ended our marriage the moment she decided I was not enough for her. I told her I just gave her a big stage, so she could say it out loud for the whole world to hear. Then I turned around and walked out into the cool night air, leaving her and Ryan sitting in the middle of the big mess they had made. Later that night, Claire called me on the phone. She wanted to thank me for helping her see the truth for herself so she could move on. We talked for a whole hour. We were just two people who were hurting from the same kind of betrayal and lies. It felt good to talk to someone who understood exactly how I felt inside. We did not make any big plans. We just gave each other some comfort in a hard time. The next morning, Jessica showed up at our house in Salem, Oregon. Her eyes were red from crying all night, and her makeup was all messy on her face. She told me she was so sorry and that it was over between her and Ryan. She said she had been foolish and had lost everything she cared about. I just nodded my head. I was not angry anymore, but I was not going to change my mind about us. I told her she did not lose everything. She chose to give it all away for a lie. She begged for one more chance, but I told her that she wanted to be honest with herself, so she should stay honest about who she is now. Then I quietly closed the door. In the months that came after that night, I started to put my life back together, one piece at a time. I sold the big house, found a new job, and started traveling to see the world again. I heard that Ryan's marriage ended very badly and his job was ruined because of all the trouble he caused. Jessica moved into a tiny apartment all by herself in Eugene, Oregon. I think her new life feels a lot like regret. Sometimes when I think back to that dinner in Portland, I remember the exact moment she froze when the door opened and the truth walked in. She thought she was leaving me to find happiness, but she actually walked right into the middle of her own lies. All I had to do was step back and let the truth take its seat at the table.